Welcome to Horns Up. I'm Animesh,
And I'm Peter.
and today we've got music on our minds. Yes, it's time for everything else to take a backseat. Horns Up returns to its roots. You guys will only be listening to our voices as we talk about the music released in 2021 till June 2021 that's been keeping us company. Effectively, it's our best of list for the first half of the year. But before we do that, how has the first half of the year been for you, Peter?
And it's so strange when you look back, right? Because I can't even believe it's been 6 months. And you can look at it from both ways, right? It's gone really fast or it's been really excruciatingly long. Uh, but yeah, when I was prepping for this, right, I was kind of surprised because, since we talk to so many bands and all of that, you expect that, oh my God, there's so much music coming out. But there's only those few albums that kind of truly resonate with you, right? And you really want to go back to. And in a kind of strange way, it's for me the same as last year. You want to go back to some of the sounds that you're familiar with, something that really hits you. It's not just about I mean, I don't want to preface my picks too much, but I think my picks kind of tell the story. What about you, Animesh?
Well, honestly, this year hasn't really been all that great for me so far. And I think that kind of tells in my music choices as well. I haven't been actively listening to a lot of new bands or new albums. My effective list of albums heard this year pales in comparison to what we ended up doing last year. So I didn't actually listen to a lot of new stuff, but yeah, I still managed to eke out some sort of list today. And I think that's a good thing. I think that list will increase now that things pretty much seem to be going okay-ish. I'll leave it at that. On that note of slight glimmer and sunshine, Peter, you've got a lot of bhadas on your mind also, right? Albums that you're deeming complete disappointments. I'll be frank. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of new music this year, and even though there were albums I didn't enjoy, I can't dub any of them a disappointment. So spill the tea, man. What's disappointing?
So it's only because I guess the single really disappointed me. And when I heard the album, I think I'm only 2 songs in, and I'm like, is this really worth it? I think you know where I'm going with it because the album
I honestly I don't know what you're talking about.
because the album has only 5 really long songs, and it's a band from Norway, the Dark Throne album.
Hey, but like it's not disappointing. It's a
No,
Dark Throne album.
I just feel that they kind of handed in the demos and then were like, "Ha, this is the album." Because I don't know, it's strange. Maybe because I had expectations. Probably that's why it's a disappointment for me.
Okay.
And maybe I hope I'll revisit it or in a better s- space and then kind of see. But yeah, man, I was just like, because it feels like they haven't actually put any effort into the album when it comes to recording it. It's like, how do I put it? It's like they've gone back to the 90s and purposely want to fuck with people and make them listen to really badly produced music, right? And for me, that's the thing. I guess if I was listening to it in a cassette in the 90s, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is true or whatever. But come on, man, we're in 2021. We all know that the band enjoys glam and all of the thrash and all of it. Maybe probably it's the doomy side of them that I don't like, because I like that punk thrash phase that they went through.
See,
But
it's Dark Throne. That's all I'll say. It's Dark Throne. They don't do things consistently, but they still manage to do things in a Dark Throne-ish manner. And come
yeah,
on, man, like old school black metal recording, that kind of songwriting. It's pretty much what I would expect from a Dark Throne release, where maybe their objective was, hey, let's revisit our roots.
I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on them. I don't know why they don't do interviews.
We should cut up this part of our of this episode and send it to Fenris and say, "Hey, Fenris, tell us why we are wrong." Sorry, not tell us. Tell Peter why he's wrong.
I'd be like, hey, Fenris, here's an invitation to come on, Horns Up. Come on.
Exactly, right? So, is
Yeah,
that the only disappointment for you? or
So
was there more?
so far, honestly, because
Oh,
like
okay. I thought you were gonna say like have this laundry list of albums that were disappointing, and you would be like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, yeah, none of these albums are good enough for me, man. Metal like needs to pull up its socks and stuff.
but and that's what I'm coming to, right? Because if you think about it, in this, what we kept talking about in our start of the year episode, like albums to look forward to, we were like, yes, this is going to be the year. Everyone's been at home, they're recording, blah blah blah. And when I came up with five, like normally, if this was any other year, I think between two of us, we'd have been like messaging each other before this episode that okay, let's make it 7 or 8. Let's not keep it to 5 alone, but it was not that hard. Like after 5, I was like, yeah, that's it. So I don't know. Maybe it's us who evolved. I'd like to think that, and not the
Evolved.
in our
You become more
listing.
snobbish in our
Oh yeah,
metal
oh yeah,
taste.
100%.
No, I don't think so at all, man. Like looking at my list, there's no snobbery in it at all. Like you'll honestly be surprised with my picks. But having said that, this year it's been very easy for me to pick out a top five. My long list didn't take a lot of time. I picked out top 10 like super quick, and picking out the top five honestly was just asking my like spending like I think 5 minutes on it, and purely on the basis of how much time I've spent with each album.
True.
Not on a basis of, hey, I really like this, but I haven't yet got around to listening to it again. That kind of a thing. Yeah. So, all my five picks, at least, they are albums that I've spent an inordinate amount of time with over since the time they've been released, of course, till June 2021. So, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go in alphabetical order? Do you want to do a ranked list? I'm prepared for both because weirdly enough, uh, my alphabetical order pretty much is 90% of my rank list.
Okay, so if you're going alphabetic, then I just have to do like alphabetic also. That will take me.
Hey, if you want to do rank list, that's always more fun.
I don't have a rank list. It's just basically like it just came to me when I was thinking, and I just started putting it up. But I don't know why. I'm just looking at my list. I stop after G. Wow, this is
Hey,
not
yeah,
going
I
to.
stopped after G too.
Okay,
Hmm. Okay, cool. Alrighty, cool. So let me begin then. Let me begin. The first album on my list is Big Brave's Vital. No surprise, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's tough
yeah.
to categorize, heavy as fuck. That's how I would introduce this Canadian band. We spoke to them at length on Horns Up, episode number 134. Check that out. Highly recommend that listen. Vital as an album, it's atmospheric, it's drony, it's dark, it's noisy, it's moody. It's an album so heavy and yet so soft at times that it for me acted as both a pillow for me to rest my head on as well as a hammer to blast through distractions and help me focus. uh, Beautiful album. I have to listen to it as an album, can't listen to it as individual songs. Big Brave's Vital.
Okay,
You
sorry.
enjoyed it too, right?
Yeah, it was a good album. So the thing is, a lot of times the albums we listen to just because like we're interviewing the bands and all of that, right? And then later on you want to still go back to them. So that's kind of been my picks. But I must make a correction. My list stops at H, not G. I just looked
Mm.
down properly. So this is an album that like kind of took me by surprise, and took me by surprise because like I've mentioned many times, right? I keep getting all these promos of bands. So typically sometimes I look at okay what someone else is listening to, and here I must give a huge shout out to Arun from Moral Collapse, who we spoke to earlier this year. He was talking now and raving about a band called Ad Nauseam.
Ad
And
nauseum, yeah.
yeah, and that, oh my god, that album took me by surprise because and that's why I really enjoy it, because it's one of those albums. I mean, they're a death metal act from Italy, and it's also on this crazy label called Avant-Garde Music,
Mm-hmm.
which, no surprises, releases that kind of music, right? And yeah, the album is called Imperative Impossible Impulse. I think you like this one, but yeah,
Was that
man.
because of a Kurt Angle reference?
Okay, maybe. See, I'm telling you, wrestling, not my favorite topic. But yeah, man, this album is, it's not like your stereotypical death metal album. There's always like twists and turns. Each time I listen to the album, I discover like a new facet or a new riff where I'll be like, what the fuck did they do? Like, oh my god, what is this? And that's kind of like what's exciting about metal for me right now, because there a lot of like death metal you can kind of categorize, or there's sometimes where you always hear like death metal with me and I'll be like, oh, I've heard this, or this sounds like this band. But at museum, hats off to them, man. They kind of like took me by surprise, and thanks to Arun for like raving about them online, and me going and checking out the promo and being like, what the fuck is this? This is awesome. So
Okay,
yeah, that was my first pick.
lovely. So I'll move on to the letter C then. Crypta, Echoes of the Soul. Fuck, yeah, right. I'll be brutally
Interesting.
honest. Yeah. I wasn't expecting this album to be as good as it is. Echoes of the Soul is the debut album by all female band Crypta, and weirdly, it was released just months after an album from the band's alma mater, if you call it that. Label mates, if you could, like, and that is a fact, Nervosa. The release, the marketing, the narrative, it all felt like a cash grab attempt by the label, right? Like trying to basically, like, set up whatever, like you have the boy band equivalent in for metal. uh but then I spun the album and fuck me, it left me surprised with how good it is. It's death metal with a lot of thrash, speed, and even punk elements. There's like constant movement in the songs. It's not one unique sound as such, right? And the production is what I really enjoyed. It's raw yet refined, and most importantly, I think the album released at a time when I needed something to party with, and I think it's that element of fun. Yes, I mean, the band certainly seems to be having a great time on the record. You can hear that infectious energy as such, and it's that element that has stayed on with me. Super party album. I'll say that. I'll say that. So yeah, and we also spoke to guitarist Sonia Anubis on the podcast just last week, episode number 138. All the more reason for me to select Crypta as Echoes of the Soul. Surprising?
Awesome. Yeah, I have. And you can see like there's a huge grin on my face at this moment. So while you moved on to C, I'm still on the alphabet B. And this is a band called
Billie
Boss.
Eilish.
I'm telling you, with all these references, I think we're the only metal podcast that refers to Billie Eilish so much.
Yeah, Billie Eilish and Poppy.
True. So this is a band called Boss Keloid,
Mm-hmm.
and the album's called Family the Smiling Thrush. I have no idea what that means. I think if you try to make sense of the album, that's where you kind of lose it, because while they sing in clean vocals, right? I, for the life of me, have no idea what they're talking about. And I think that's what makes the album kind of cool. But just stepping back a bit, I mean, Boss Keloid are a prog act from the UK. And while they've been around since 2010, and this is their fifth album, they only got on my radar a few years ago with their third album, Herb Your Enthusiasm. And one of the cool things about the band, right, is that even on their last album, Melted on Inch, they've been just like taking things up a notch. For me, this was my pick me up album of the year so far. And like I said, the whole thing is it's not one of those albums where I'm kind of dissect, okay, what's happening here? What are they doing? What are they singing about? And what's cool is just, you know, typically you have these prog acts who are kind of like pretentious and kind of doing all these things, right? This is the prog act that like so seamlessly transitions from the heavy to the calm parts that you're like, wait, wasn't the guy like just like going at it on his guitar, and now what's he doing? Like just, I don't know, just like tinkering along with it. And yeah, there's a great groove to it. I think for me, it took me by surprise because I had no idea there was a new album coming out by them. And like I said, the reason I keep revisiting it is just a quick pick me up for me. Listen to a couple of songs, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm in a good mood again. So yeah, that's my second pick, Boskeloid Family, the Smiling Thrush.
Okay, lovely. Speaking of pick me ups, you'll recognize this one because the next album that I'm picking is for me a gateway to happier times when the world wasn't shit and we could actually enjoy music while sitting super up close and personal with the musicians. Any guesses? It's a live album. It's Devin Townsend's Devolution Series number one,
Ooh.
acoustically inclined live in Leeds. And it's an album that brings back all the memories from a similar gig in Bombay early to 2019, I think, where Peter and I fanboyed over Devin doing pretty much the same set and similar banter as heard on this album. And even if you're not using this album the way I did, like, as a time travel machine of sorts, well, you should simply listen to it because I think it's an excellent showcase of the man's talents. His vocals are magical, the music is heavy yet ethereal, and honestly, some of the reimagining of songs because it now has to be acoustic is that's a lesson in just basic songwriting. And also, I must say, it makes a great companion for long nights where you're just waiting for the day to break because the night is so dark. Super emotional, super powerful stuff. Plus, of course, it's Devin Townsend, man. You can't go wrong with the man.
Yeah, I could totally agree because when I remember when they announced the track list, the first thing I looked it up and I was like, oh boy, this looks very familiar. And I think I actually pinged a couple of people who were at the gig, like, oh my god, like we were hoping that the Bombay gig gets recorded, but this is kind of as good as it gets, right? The only thing you just need to think of like 50 people cramped up in that Levi's lounge in there, but
Yeah, that's just completely seems like not a possibility in this time right now.
I don't think we're
Devin
going back to.
Townsend cuffed on me.
Oh God,
That is
man!
not going to be possible anytime soon.
I know, I know. It takes like I get so nostalgic when I think about that day again, and yeah, we've done an episode. So hey, go visit that episode where animation I just fanboyed over Devin Townsend. It's episode number 7.
Yep.
All right. Uh, Going in alphabetic order, I'm now still at the alphabet C. This should not be a surprise to you.
Cannibal
It's the
Corpse.
yeah. Go on. The 15th studio album by the American death metal institution Cannibal Corpse. I mean, by this point, it's safe to say or it's safe to assume that like Cannibal Corpse are like the ACDC of metal, of death metal, right? And
Really? You would call them the ACDC?
because I mean, come on, it's Cannibal Corpse. You know what's fucking coming. Like they're not going to suddenly throw in like a clean passage or clean vocals or anything. You know what's
Okay,
coming
so
to
in
you.
terms of consistency,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I wouldn't like the ACDC comparison is weird because, yes, even though I really like Black Ice, which was a good album, but I like you don't remember half the songs from Black Ice after you've done listening to the album. Whereas on this record, I thought it was I thought it was perhaps their strongest effort over the last 2 or 3 albums, and
And
the songs and the hooks and obviously because they've got a new lineup and it's such a haphazard mix, right? There's no like it doesn't you don't feel like you're listening to one Cannibal Corpse band as such, right? Or one Cannibal Corpse sound. It's like there's a smattering of death metal done by Cannibal Corpse over the entire album, and that's why I really enjoyed it too.
yeah, I mean, one of the things is you cannot like avoid the most obvious discussion, which is there's a new energy in the band with Eric Rutan. I mean,
Hmm.
while he was the producer in there, and I don't know what it is like because Eric Rutan has been producing them for like over 10 years. I still
Yeah, but this
remember.
time they let him write music.
Yeah, yeah. And like
That's the
when
difference.
I still remember when Kill came out, and that was I think the first
Hmm.
album he produced. Everyone was like, and he had that thing where he was also doing a lot of metalcore albums. So they were like, "What the fuck? Cannibal Corpse has become deathcore, this, that, and all of that." This production is actually grim and dirty. Like
Yep.
it's not the clean production of slightly earlier albums. And man, it's fucking Cannibal Corpse. How can you not enjoy them? I mean, like every metal fan worth their salt has at least heard one album, and hey, we should be grateful that hey, they're still fucking churning out metal that's still
Oh,
awesome.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Excellent, excellent
yeah.
pick.
So yeah, extra points for the artwork, man. When I saw that artwork, I was like, fuck yeah, like this is
Honestly, I
one.
saw the R-rated version of the artwork first, and then when I actually saw the original, I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is more like it."
Like this is properly
Go
like
out of your way to find
violence,
it.
violence unimagined. Yeah?
Yep, totally, totally. Super pick, man. Cannibal Corpse was an excellent, excellent album. It didn't make it to my top five, but it was in my honorable mentions. Anyways, this is going to be perhaps my most controversial and perhaps most surprising pick.
Hate me.
And that's because listeners, as well as you, Peter, know that I'm not a Fear Factory fan.
What? You
Yeah,
got
right?
Fear Factory on your list.
I know Aggression Continuum is the first album from the band that I've heard in its entirety. And that happened because, and only because, I finally gave the band a chance. It doesn't stack up to the band's best, but come on, man. Aggression Continuum is such a ball of absolutely stupid energy. It's a party album that came at a time when I really needed it, and it's got the signature bouncy riffs, catchy hooks, choruses that encourage you to sing along. This is pop metal. Okay, this is pop metal. It made me fucking dance, and I love it for doing that. It's been making me dance pretty much anytime I want to dance. Yeah, who would have thought that?
I know who would have thunk that, huh? And I'm telling you, like, if Dino listens to this, and maybe I'll tag him so he'll listen to it, he'll be like, "Fuck yeah, Animesh."
Fuck that. I think he might not enjoy me calling it pop metal.
Trust me, for me with that album,
Hence
right?
calling it stupid, but it is. It's
But
so stupid. It doesn't require any fucking analysis or this thing. It just makes you want to dance.
well, I mean, come on, it is basically like inspired by Terminator movies, right?
Whatever it may be inspired by. Yeah, this is a dance record which you throw on when you just need to move.
Now you've suddenly given me like marketing ideas for this. Is that Dino gets like a few of these electronica producers to like remix it or whatever.
Yeah, that'll
Totally.
definitely sell.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now you know which album is gonna come if I just say the letter G. And it's a band that both of us have talked so much about. And it's an album that I think you, me, thousands of others were just really looking forward to. So let me cut to the chase. It's Gojira Fortitude. And man, I'll be honest, right? The singles were so varied. Like they put out Born to One Thing, The Chant, Amazonia. It kind of whets your appetite that, okay, what's the direction they're doing? What's exactly happening? Because it was so different, right? And of course, Gojira is going to try something new, right? It's completely different from what you've heard before. There are going to be some new guitar sounds like we always talk about. And nothing will prepare. Like while you listen to them as singles, the moment you hit the album, I felt like Born to One Thing and Amazonia was like this 1-2 punch that kind of just starts the album. And just when you think that okay, the first two songs are good, third song, they hit you with that catchy as fuck riff on another word, man. What a
Mm.
riff that is. That just like, and it's throughout the song, right? So it's just going to get stuck into your head. You listen to the album more than 5-6 times, that the riff is kind of stuck in your head. And like, for lack of any other word, this album for me is like a full on album because it's just on. There's something like it just keeps going step by step, except when it comes to like the title track Fortitude. Then it's just, okay, calm down. And it so nicely segues into the chant. Like that's where I feel that, and I really appreciate bands who spend time kind of arranging that track list. It's not a bunch of singles that they've just put together, right? And for like Spotify or Apple Music, what have you, or playlists. This is properly arranged. So it takes you on that entire journey. And that's what I really, really appreciate about it. And come
I'm
on, it's
glad you
good.
have it. I'm glad you have it on your list because yeah, it was going to be my final pick too. Gojira's Fortitude. Yes, I was super excited for new Gojira. I wanted an album filled with the signature Gojira template that's technically sound and that showcases that very unique style of songwriting the band's known for. And on all those counts, Fortitude delivers so well. It was pretty much the only thing I was listening to while battling Delhi traffic because I found solace and comfort in those riffs, as such, those chants, those grooves. And as you said, I love the way the album flows because it sounds like an album and not a collection of singles. It encourages you to listen to it in its entirety because if you're not and you're only listening to singles, then boy, you're missing out on half the fun. Um, it's an album that I still keep revisiting. It's music that has somehow truly helped me cope with a lot of stuff. And I know this is a bold statement for me to make right now, but I think with Fortitude, I've already found my album of the year.
Wow. So
Wow. Yeah, right?
you cut me off at the last sentence, which is, and I'm going to put it now, which is makes sense to say now, is there's high probability this is going to easily make it to like my year-end list, and it's
Oh, it's definitely in my year-end list. I think
yeah.
I think this is going to end up topping mine.
I mean, I'm wondering like what's going to come that's really going to like blow our minds in the next 6 months. But hey, challenge on to whichever bands are releasing music.
I know, right? So wait, so allow me to absolutely put you under the not spotlight, but remove the rug from your under your feet as such by predicting because you said the letter H was going to be your last letter. You're talking about Harakiri for the Sky Mare, right?
I think Animesh, this is the thing about us doing a podcast for the last 2 years or so. I've actually seen, and you're bang on correct. I've actually seen over the last couple of years how similar our tastes have got eerily, or our picks have got, but
Yeah.
we've also become slightly predictable to each other. But yeah, we've spoken to this band earlier this year, and like you said, right? For me, this has been that album that I kind of go to for solace of sorts. I mean, Mare, and it's an album literally you can get lost into. I mean, you hit play, close your eyes, and you're just transported in there. And yeah, I still can't get over the drums, man. Like these are
Yeah.
so fucking intense. Like I get that, post albums, whether it is black metal or whatever you want to call them, but anything post gets a bad rep. I don't know. Like this for me is what I would expect like black metal in 2021, right? If you dive into the lyrics like I've done, oh man, there's a lot of stuff in there that you have to kind of unpack. And yeah, man, I think this is an album that I'm probably going to be reaching out to, especially since I hate the rains and the monsoon. I'm going to reach out to over the next couple of months for sure again.
Fantastic. So those were our 10 picks. Really, I mean, if you've been listening to the podcast, most of it's not surprising at all because it features once again bands that we've talked about or talked with on the podcast, which just goes to show that hey, Horns Up is just us wanting to talk to people and trying to figure out, hey, how did you make that? And we end up liking it or whatever, just trying to understand the music a bit better. Wow. Alrighty. But having said that, it's only 6 months into 2021. We've got a very stacked remaining 6 months left. Fucking, I'm stoked about the new Jungwei Malmsteen record that's going to come out towards the end of the month. Are you stoked about it?
I'll be honest.
I'm not. I was just joking. But yeah.
I was just like, okay.
Dude, Jungwei Malmsteen, we should definitely try and reach out to him. Because the dude is now doing live YouTube interactions and chats and stuff. I know he's on Cameo too, but there's no way I'm going to pay him money to chat with him, even though he's Jungwei Malmsteen. But yeah, why is he still relevant in 2021? I hope the new album gives us some kind of a clue. But besides that, I mean, all this talk about a possible Iron Maiden album, that has me excited.
I think that's like. And as a marketing guy also, I'm really like kicked about something like that because I'm like, oh, what's happening? And to think of a band like Iron Maiden doing stuff like this, right?
I know,
I
like
mean,
there was a Twitter comment which says that it's possibly the announcement of a collaboration between Iron Maiden and Taylor Swift, where which resulted from the fact that basically Smallwood basically going up to Taylor Swift and saying, "Hey, I don't know what to do on digital media, so you manage the campaign release."
which makes sense, but then that also would imply a surprise drop of an album, knowing
Yeah,
Taylor
I
Swift.
mean, yeah, so that's something to look forward to. I wonder what's happening on that front. July 18th, hopefully we'll get to know. What else? I'm excited about the new Cryptos, even though most people aren't. um,
And to be honest, I think that was again, and I this is my marketing side taking precedence over me as a music fan, right? Is that I feel it was because of the choice of the single, because I saw that the band has kind of seen it also, and they said that, for those of you who like it faster, we've got one more banger of a single coming out. So I think then no one will be disappointed.
that's
But
due in October.
yeah,
Any other albums you're really looking forward to?
man, I want to like the Baversea album would
Oh
be
yeah, there's a
interesting.
new Beaver too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the strange part is there's Baversea and there's Dirge coming out. Now I don't know whether Dirge will come out this year, but yeah, I mean suddenly out of nowhere you've got like two stonery, sludgy albums coming out from India after I don't know how long. Like
Hmm.
so
True.
that's there. Oh yeah, Ganesh just put out a teaser. There's a Megadrone another album also coming out. I think Ganesh is or Jack is going to be like the most productive Indian musician this year, releasing three separate albums.
How excited are you about Metallica's Blacklist?
Oh boy, I think we need an episode for this, Animesh. Come on, and I'm going to reserve my comments about that.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Beyond that, there's a lot of new music that's slated to release in 2021 that hopefully we'll be making our way through. And yeah, there's a lot remaining on Horns Up as well. It's not just going to be our voices, you're going to be hearing from a lot of other people, including a fucking almost 2 hour episode that dissects the new Albatross single.
So let me
Wow.
let me
Yes,
put this into context.
we've done that.
It's a 5 minute song, and we spoke 2 hours about it. Just saying, this is
Yeah,
an episode you don't want to
just
miss.
saying, just saying. Musical nerdery at its finest.
Yeah.
What are you guys listening to at the moment? What's your top 5 of 2021 till June 2021? Feel free to share those lists, man. The more the merrier. You know where to find us. It's hauntsuppod.com or on Twitter at hauntsuppod. And or if you really want to, you can individually just tag us. I'm on Twitter at AsmoAni.
I'm at Trend Crusher.
And thank you for listening, guys. This was Haunts Up.
Horns up, guys.